As the problems get harder, you need a strategy that will always work as you simplify powers. So I'm going to give you a strategy to simplify powers. Now I'm going to have to give it to you one step at a time because it's too long to get on the screen. So be sure you take careful notes and copy it down. The first step you want to do is to work inside symbols of inclusion. Now that will be easy for you to remember because that's the same rule as you have for order of operations. You always work inside symbols of inclusion. In fact, that's the purpose of symbols of inclusion, to tell you what to do first. Once you work inside symbols of inclusion, then the second thing you do is to apply exponents outside the parentheses to factors and divisors inside. Now that's inside the parentheses. So you apply exponents outside the parentheses to factors and divisors inside the parentheses. The third, you raise powers to powers. 4, you multiply and divide powers having the same base. You multiply and divide powers having the same base. And finally, you put the answer in good form. You put the answer in good form. Okay, let's look at a couple exercises in which I use the strategy. Let's simplify 2x to the negative 3, y, all raised to the negative 4, times 3x fourth y. Now the first thing I do, I work inside symbols of inclusion. Well, I really can't simplify 2x to the negative 3y. I can't simplify 3x to the fourth y. All the bases are different. So I go to step 2, which says apply exponents outside the parentheses to factors and divisors inside. So doing step 2, I'd have 2 to the negative 4, x to the negative 3 to the negative 4, y to the negative 4, times 3, x to the fourth, y. So I applied exponents outside the parentheses to all of the factors inside. Step 3 says raise powers to powers. So I'd have 2 to the negative 4, x to the 12th, because to raise powers to powers, you keep the base and multiply the exponents. A negative 3 times the negative 4 is positive 12, times y to the negative 4, times 3, x to the fourth, y. The fourth step says to multiply and divide powers having the same base. So by the commutative and associative laws, I can regroup and put my numbers together. 2 to the negative 4 times 3, x to the 12th times x to the 4th, y to the negative 4 times y. So I get 2 to the negative 4 times 3 times x to the 16. To multiply powers having the same base, keep the base, add the exponents. 12 plus 4 is 16. Y to the negative 3. To multiply powers having the same base, keep the base y, add the exponents. Now there's not an exponent here, but it's understood to be 1. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. Now I need to put my answer in good form. I have a negative exponent, so I take the reciprocal. So it'll be 1 over 2 to the 4th. I leave the 3, which is understood to be 3 over 1. I have a positive exponent, so I'll leave it. And I have a negative exponent, so I'll do the reciprocal. So I'm left with 1 times 3 times x to the 16th times 1 is 3x to the 16th over 2 to the 4th times 1 times 1 times y to the cubed. Well, 2 to the 4th is 16 times 1 is 16 times 1 is 16 times y cubed, which would be 16y cubed. So my answer is 3x to the 16th divided by 16y cubed. Let's look at another example that I will work for you, and then I'll give you some exercises.